Stephanie White stood face-to-face with Caitlin Clark in the tunnel. And what happened next wasn't a minor disagreement. It was a breaking point. The footage captured more than just frustration. It revealed the collapse of trust between a generational talent and a system that refuses to bend. Clark's body language, sharp tone, and refusal to back down all pointed to a deeper fracture.
If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe.
This wasn't just about a bad game. It was about a season spent shackled by a rigid offense that undermines the very instincts that made her a star. The confrontation laid bare the emotional cost of systemic misalignment. Now the Fever are on the clock. Clark's statistical dip, public frustration, and visible disconnection from the coaching vision are converging into a franchise-level crisis. The system that once promised structure now looks like a cage. And with the 2026 season looming as a make-or-break year, Indiana must either break the mold or prepare to lose the player they built around. Every decision from this point forward carries weight, not just for wins and losses, but for the identity of the franchise and Clark's future in it. Stephanie White was in tears, and not the post-game, emotional victory kind. These were the kind of tears that come when the pressure finally breaks through, when the locker room tension, the public scrutiny, and the weight of wasted potential all boil over. The moment that cracked everything, a tunnel confrontation between Stephanie White and Caitlin Clark. Heated, raw, and for anyone paying attention, it was inevitable. Clark didn't explode out of nowhere. This wasn't just a bad night. This was the accumulation of weeks, if not months, of mounting frustration. And the confrontation? That was just the first time the cameras caught it. People talk about passion and competitive fire, but let's not sanitize what's really going on here. There's a deep and growing misalignment between Caitlin Clark and the system she's being forced to play in. It's showing up in her body language, her numbers, her on-court demeanor, and now, apparently, in shouting matches off camera. And it all points back to the same place, coaching. Stephanie White is stuck by her motion offense, a system that's heavy on structure, built around movement, spacing, and team reads. It's not inherently flawed. In theory, it promotes team cohesion and high IQ basketball. But this system is not designed for someone like Caitlin Clark. Clark thrives on improvisation, on feel, on creativity. Her success at Iowa was built on controlled chaos, pull-up threes, audacious cross-court passes, and freedom to create on the fly. That's where she shines. That's what made her one of the greatest college players we've ever seen. And that's what's being squeezed out of her game right now. The stats tell the story. Her three-point attempts have dropped. Her usage rate is lower than expected. She's being asked to defer, to pass early, to follow the rhythm of a system that doesn't bend her instincts. And it's costing her and the team every single night. Even when she erupts like she did in the second half against Atlanta, it feels like rebellion, like frustration forced her to break the mold and just be herself for a quarter. And when she did, the offense finally woke up. That alone should be the biggest red flag for the Fever. When your best moments come despite the system, not because of it, something's wrong. And it's not just basketball theory. It's affecting Clark psychologically. Her visible frustration during games is increasing. She's slamming the ball down. She's walking away from huddles. Her body language is loud. That tunnel argument wasn't a blip. It was a boiling point. And everyone saw it. There's a cost to stifling creativity in a player wired like Clark. She doesn't just want to win. She wants to create. Taking that away doesn't make her more efficient. It makes her miserable. And that misery, it's contagious. You can feel it in the team's rhythm. The offense looks hesitant. The flow isn't there. Players are thinking too much, passing up shots, unsure of roles. That's not just about bad shooting nights. That's about a system that's not fitting the talent on the floor. And this isn't Stephanie White's first time facing these questions. Go back to her stint with the Connecticut Sun. The pattern was similar. Talented roster, structured system, underwhelming playoff results. The philosophy was consistent. The ceiling, not high enough. That matters. Because now we're seeing that same rigidity collide with a generational star who doesn't fit into neat little boxes. Clark needs space. She needs a ball. She needs freedom. And instead, she's being turned into a system guard, running motion sets, spacing the floor, deferring to the scheme. It's like putting a Ferrari in traffic and telling it not to speed. And it raises the big question. If you're not going to let Caitlin Clark be Caitlin Clark, then what are you even doing? There are two paths in front of the franchise right now. One, adapt, reshape the offense, run more pick and roll, let her go isolation, give her control of the tempo, build around her, not over her. Or two, stick with the current system, force her to adjust, and risk watching her leave the moment her rookie contract ends. Because let's be clear, if this keeps up, she will walk. You don't waste prime years in a rigid, underperforming system when other franchises are foaming at the mouth to hand you the keys to the kingdom, especially not when your frustration is already exploding in full view of fans and media, and the clock is ticking. The 2026 season is looming as a pivot point. It's the year this franchise either becomes a contender or becomes a cautionary tale. Right now, they're leaning toward the wrong side of history. What makes this worse is the messaging from the top. Instead of acknowledging the tension or addressing the flaws, the focus has shifted to media-friendly fluff, controlled interviews, book recommendations, vague inspirational quotes. It's all polish and no substance. There's no public accountability, no transparency, just avoidance. And that avoidance isn't harmless. It sends a message. We don't see the problem, but the players do. The fans do. The numbers do. The offense is stale. The system is strained. And the star player is visibly cracking. You don't fix that with soft press conferences. You fix that by confronting the truth. The system isn't working for Caitlin Clark. And if it doesn't change, the whole thing will fall apart. So what now? The Fever front office has to decide what they value more, their coaching philosophy or their star, because they won't get to keep both if things stay the same. The culture around this team has to shift toward adaptation, flexibility, and honesty. That doesn't mean firing everyone overnight. It means recalibrating, prioritizing player fit over stubborn loyalty to a system that's clearly misaligned. It means building an offense that gives Clark space to breathe and teammates who can thrive in her orbit. This is not the time for ego. It's the time for realism. Caitlin Clark isn't just a player. She's a generational talent, a marketing machine, and a potential dynasty builder. But she needs a franchise that meets her halfway. Right now, she's not getting that. And the cracks are widening. Stephanie White may be emotional because she knows this too. Maybe the tears came from the weight of it all, from the realization that things are slipping fast and the walls are closing in. But tears won't fix it. Strategy will. Accountability will. Change will. Because if the Fever can't make this work, with this kind of talent, this kind of spotlight, and this kind of opportunity, then they never will. Let's talk about it. Is Clark being wasted in the system? Should the Fever overhaul their offense? Or stick to the plan and force her to adapt? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you've been tracking the tunnel drama, the declining stats, the missed potential, hit like, share with your fellow WNBA followers, and subscribe to stay in the loop. This story is far from over, and the next chapter could change everything. Caitlin Clark left us today. That's how Stephanie White put it. And whether she meant it literally or metaphorically, it landed like a gut punch. Because for all the carefully rehearsed interviews, for all the polished media hits and inoffensive quotes, that moment, raw, unscripted, broken, that was the one that told the truth. Clark may still be in uniform. She may still be suiting up for the Indiana Fever. But emotionally, psychologically, she's already halfway gone. You could see it coming, if you were paying attention. It started with the subtle stuff, the drop in energy, the pulled-back celebrations, the way Clark stopped talking to teammates after misreads or botch plays. Then came the body language, shoulders slumped, eyes rolling, silent head shakes as she trotted back on defense. And then came the tunnel. That tunnel moment wasn't just an argument. It was the dam breaking. Clark and Stephanie White, face to face. Words exchanged. Hands gesturing. Frustration on both sides. Clark storming off. White shaken. The locker room quiet. And everyone around them trying to pretend it didn't just happen. But it did. And it said everything. Caitlin Clark doesn't trust the system. She doesn't believe in the offense. And most damning of all, she doesn't feel like she's being set up to win. That is a massive problem for Indiana. Because when you're a generational talent, your franchise cornerstone, your league draw, your ratings booster, starts to emotionally detach, the clock starts ticking. And make no mistake, this is not just about one outburst. This is about a slow, avoidable deterioration that's been building all season. Let's go to the core issue, the system. Stephanie White is married to a motion offense. It's structured. It's team-oriented. It thrives on constant movement, off-ball cuts, spacing, and deliberate execution. In theory, it's democratic. No one player dominates the ball. Everyone contributes. Everyone rotates. But that's exactly the problem. Because Caitlin Clark isn't a system player. She's not a cog. She's not a piece to plug into a pre-written playbook. She's a creator, a disruptor, someone who breaks offensive logic just by stepping over half court. Her success at Iowa came from freedom, pulling up from 30 feet, whipping cross-court passes, dancing in the pick and roll with total control of the tempo. And now, she's being asked to play within a system that cuts her creativity off at the knees. The numbers prove it. Her three-point attempts are down. Her usage rate is down. Her shot variety is narrowed. Her turnovers are up. Not because she's playing reckless, but because she's being forced into tight windows that don't suit her natural rhythm. And what do we get in return? A stagnant offense, predictable sets, mistiming, miscommunication. A once dynamic player turned into a very expensive decoy. You can see it in the box scores. You can feel it in the arena. And in the tunnel that night, you heard it loud and clear. The worst part? This isn't new. This didn't come out of nowhere. Stephanie White had similar issues in Connecticut. Talented roster, high expectations, rigid offensive schemes. And when things didn't click, the blame landed on the players, not the system. It's happening again. Clark's struggles are being framed as adjustment pains, growing pains. Rookies need time, they say. Give her space to mature. But mature into what? A system player? A facilitator in a motion set that wasn't designed for her gifts? That's not growth. That's containment. And here's the real danger. If this continues, it's not just her stats that suffer. It's her mentality, her loyalty, her belief in the organization. You don't just lose a star like Clark by trading her. You lose her by eroding her passion, by turning every game into a slow grind, by denying her the freedom to be who she is, on the court where it matters most. And if Indiana keeps going down this path, they'll wake up one day and realize she's already gone. 2026 is closer than they think. That's when everything comes to a head. That's when the front office will either be forced to offer a max extension to a disillusioned player, or watch her leave for a team that's already drawing up plays designed for her, not around her. Do they think she won't remember how this season felt? The force fit? The silence after losses? The frustration building until it finally burst in a tunnel confrontation with the very coach who's supposed to be guiding her? She'll remember, and the league is watching. Other franchises are already dreaming up what Clark would look like in a free-flowing system, in a two-woman game with a dominant center, in a spread offense with shooters who actually rotate on time, in a scheme that says, "You're the engine, drive us." And the fever? They're still asking her to follow the map when she is the GPS. This is not just about wins and losses. It's about philosophy. Do you build your system around your best player, or do you ask your best player to bend to your system? Right now, Indiana is answering that question the wrong way, and the cracks are showing in every direction. The locker room tension, the missed rotations, the lack of joy. Clark is not the kind of player who hides emotion, and right now, she looks like someone barely holding it together. The scary part is we've already seen what she looks like when she's unleashed. That second half against Atlanta, that wasn't just a hot streak. That was a statement. She was angry, and that anger freed her. She pushed the pace. She ignored the motion. She called her own number, and the offense exploded. The team played faster. The crowd came alive. It was chaos, but but it was productive chaos. The kind only a rare player can create. And what did the staff do next game? Went right back to the system. If that's not a missed message, what is? There's still time. The damage isn't irreversible. But Indiana has to move now. Not next season. Not next contract cycle. Now, you don't get many players like Caitlin Clark. You don't get many chances to reset a franchise. The Fever were given both, and they're squandering it under the weight of stubborn coaching and outdated systems. They can fix it. Shift to more pick and roll. Let her run in transition. Build around her skill set, not around philosophical ideals. Make her the system, because that's what elite teams do with elite players. But if they don't, the ending writes itself. A quiet exit, a statement-free agency, and another team getting the best version of the player Indiana never truly unleashed. So yes, Stephanie White cried. But tears don't change outcomes. Adaptation does. Vision does. Listening to your star does. And until the Fever are ready to do that, they're not just failing Caitlin Clark. They're failing themselves. There's no walking this back. No post-game quote. No PR spin. No. We're working through things. Statement is going to undo what everyone saw and what everyone now knows. The relationship between Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White is broken. Not bruised. Broken. And unless the Indiana Fever are willing to confront that head-on, they're not just risking a star player walking. They're about to lose the entire trajectory of their franchise. You can trace the whole thing moment by moment. From the preseason buzz to the tunnel blow-up, it's all been building. The friction was never hidden. It just hadn't exploded publicly until now. But all the signs were there. And now that it's out in the open, there's no putting this one back in the vault. Because this is no longer about wins and losses. It's about trust. And right now, Caitlin Clark doesn't trust her coach. Doesn't trust the system. Maybe doesn't even trust the direction this team is going in. And if you watched her play lately, watch her react to missed opportunities, botched reads, and system plays that fall apart the moment they hit real defensive pressure, you know that trust is long gone. Clark didn't leave this team physically, but emotionally, that departure already happened. Her body is on the court. Her face is still on the posters. But her game, the game that shook college basketball, that filled arenas, that turned the WNBA draft into appointment television, that game has been pushed into a corner, trimmed down, systemized, neutralized. You can't watch her play now and not feel it. This is not who she is. Clark was never meant to be a secondary piece in someone else's vision. She's not a glorified floor spacer. She's not a connector who exists to keep the motion flowing. She's a game breaker, a shot creator, a chaos engine. And the most frustrating part is that everyone knows this. The media knows it. The fans know it. The opposing teams know it. She draws double teams when she doesn't even have the ball. That's how much respect her skill commands. So why doesn't her own team build around that? The answer lies with the system, and with the coach who refuses to change it. Stephanie White has stuck by her playbook. She's clung to a system built around order, predictability, and movement without improvisation. The kind of system that sounds smart in theory, but crumbles when you try to force a generational player to fit into its narrow lanes. Clark's best moments this season, they've come when she breaks that system. When she waves off the set and takes over. When she pulls up from deep. When she runs high pick and roll and punishes switches. When she ignores emotion and makes the play herself. But instead of encouraging that, instead of building around it, the team keeps dragging her back into a system that was never meant for someone like her. And now it's costing them. Not just in stats. Not just in losses. In relationships. In locker room buy-in. In public image. In the psyche of a star who's realizing in real time that her rookie season might go down as one long lesson in frustration. Let's be clear. This is not about Clark needing to grow up or learn to play team ball. That narrative is lazy. She's one of the smartest playmakers in the league already. She sees the floor like a veteran. She creates advantages no system could ever manufacture. But if you box that kind of talent in, you don't get more teamwork. You get stagnation. You get hesitation. You get tunnel confrontations, body language breakdowns, and a star who's emotionally halfway out the door. And what's even more alarming is how the organization has responded. Instead of acknowledging the rift, they've doubled down on optics, fluffy interviews, vague positivity, distracting storylines about off-court hobbies. It's all designed to keep the temperature low. But at this point, the whole building is on fire. You don't fix this by pretending it's not happening. You fix this by doing what every elite franchise eventually has to do. Admit when the system is wrong, and adjust to the play you can't afford to lose. Because if Clark leaves, it's not just a talent loss. It's a brand implosion. She's more than just the best player the Fever have had in years. She's the face of the new WNBA. She sells out arenas. She drives TV ratings. She brings new fans into the league. You let that walk away, you don't recover from it. And don't be fooled. 2026 is closer than you think. Clark's rookie contract won't last forever. And the way this season is going, she'll have every reason to explore other options. She won't need to say it out loud. The signs are already there. The tunnel argument was just the confirmation. And if you think other teams aren't circling already, you haven't been paying attention. There are organizations out there right now watching this play out and thinking, let her hit free agency. We'll give her the freedom. We'll give her the ball. We'll give her the roster she deserves. And unless Indiana makes drastic, visible changes, Clark is going to hear those pitches loud and clear. Because this isn't just about basketball style. It's about identity. Clark's identity is built on confidence, swagger, risk-taking. She made a name for herself by playing with emotion, by lighting up the scoreboard, by defying expectations. That identity is being crushed under the weight of a system that sees her as too much, too bold, too quick, too improvisational. But the league has changed. The game is faster now. It's positionless. It's driven by creators. You don't win championships by taming your stars. You win by unleashing them. If the Fever can't see that, they're done. They had the perfect storm. An elite scorer, a national spotlight, a chance to build something real. But instead of leaning in, they tried to clip the wings. And now they're shocked she's trying to fly away. This doesn't need to be the end. There's still time. But time means nothing without action. They need to pivot. They need to hand Clark the keys. Run more pick and roll. Embrace the transition game. Let her dictate tempo instead of following a playbook written for someone else. Give her ownership. Because if they don't, if they keep pretending this is just a rough patch, they're going to look back on this season as the year they lost it all. The year they had the future of the league in their hands and let it slip. So what do you think? Has the Fever system already lost Caitlin Clark? Should the front office force a coaching change? Or is it too late to salvage this dynamic? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you've been watching Clark play like she's trapped in a jersey 3 sizes too small, hit that like. Share this with someone still living in denial about what's really happening in Indiana. And subscribe if you want a full story as it continues to unravel. Because one thing's for sure, Caitlin Clark may be wearing the jersey, but if nothing changes, she already left.